Welcome to KQEG and Seven River Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, into wellness, and into fitness. Well, today a special show because we are profiling the Crosse Loggers, one of the most successful collegiate baseball summer programs in the country. Our guests today, JT Schwartz and Tony Bullard. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
As we take the show here on July 10th, the Loggers coming off a tough loss, 13-10 last night. You're now, I think, 2 games over 500, playing pretty well, but a tough loss. You had 12 hits. You had a good night at the plate. Tony, you had a good night at the plate. A tough loss. What were your thoughts on last night's game?
I thought our defense could have played a little better. I think we made 4 or 5 errors, which probably led to a lot of runs for the other team. And our pitching gave up a lot of runs, which, I mean, they can't really control, and they also walked a lot of batters.
So is the team playing a little bit below expectations, Tony?
Lately, actually, we've been playing pretty well. I think we're like 5-1 or 5-2 our last 7 games, so it's not too bad. But we've been playing better from the first half of the season. JT,
you hit the ball well last night, too. You had, I think, 3 RBIs. You had a solid hit. Are you satisfied with how you're playing so far?
I think so. I think the team's definitely picked it up as of late. I think, like Tony said, our defense could definitely tighten up a little bit. I think, especially at home, we talked about this a little bit with the team that, you know, we could be playing a little bit better at home, and just kind of making sure that we're trying to solidify things, especially on defense, because, I mean, our offense has been pretty good lately.
12 home games left. You play until, I think, August 11th. Goals for the season, JT. Where would you like to see yourself end the year?
Just trying to be consistent and kind of keep going where we've been going. You know, not really thinking too much and just trying to kind of just play well and be ready every day and hopefully win some more ball games.
And you're hitting the ball well. Are you comfortable with the way you're playing, Tony?
I am. I wish, like JT said, I could be more consistent. Like, I started off really well, and then I struggled for quite a bit, and now I'm starting to pick it back up, so I'm just hoping to keep that rhythm going for as long as I can.
So both from Southern California, we're going to get into that, but then making that cross-country trip to La Crosse, Wisconsin, a place you probably never even heard of, coming from the beaches of Southern California. You come to La Crosse, it's like, oh my goodness, where am I at? What were your thoughts when you came?
Kyson Donahue, the guy, he goes to Arizona with me. He was telling me about it because he was here last year. He said he really enjoyed it. He said the weather kind of sucked because it's so humid, and it does kind of suck. But, I mean, it's a great little town. I mean, I don't mind it one bit.
So, JT, again, Southern California, made your maiden voyage to La Crosse, Wisconsin. When you were contacted and had that opportunity, what were your thoughts?
There had been some other guys from UCLA in the past few years that had been here, so I kind of had a little bit of background with what they went through and just kind of the environment and stuff, and found out probably a little over a year ago that I was coming here and just kind of tried to find out a little bit more and a little bit more about the team and stuff, and so I was pretty excited.
Well, let's kind of get to know you. Take a trip down memory lane and get to know you were younger. I mean, you had a lot of success in high school, All-American. You did a lot of different things, but before that, how'd you get involved in athletics, and was there somebody that inspired you and saw some things in you that basically were the kind of things that inspired you to become a high school athlete, college, and then on from there?
Yeah, I think both of my parents had pretty athletic backgrounds. You know, their family and stuff, just kind of everyone had been involved in sports. So my dad and mom kind of just raised my brother and I to be in an environment where we were just kind of always just playing and doing things. Grew up playing just a bunch of different sports and stuff, and then just kind of ended up into, you know, kind of focusing more on baseball and trying to progress into that, whereas kind of my dad and brother were actually more into basketball and football. So I just kind of figured I liked baseball the most and just tried to stick with it.
Grew up in Newport Beach, went to Corona Del Mar, and looking at your resume, you were part of a team that won the first league championship in 13 years. Did you play multiple sports in high school?
I played basketball and baseball in high school.
You had good success in basketball too?
I played 3 years. Yeah, I didn't play my senior year to focus on baseball, but yeah, had some decent success.
And you were All-American. You were honorable mention All-American. You were All-Conference. I mean, you achieved. You were at the pinnacle of success as a high school athlete. So there must have been a lot of teams, in addition to UCLA, that wanted your services.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, some colleges and stuff maybe early on, but decided on UCLA relatively early, and that was a pretty easy decision. And then kind of later in high school, it just kind of became more solidified that I really wanted to go to school there, and that it kind of just came meant to be, I guess.
Well, going down memory lane with Tony, too, I imagine you started when you were very young, and somebody must have seen some potential in you, too.
Yeah, I started when I was 5, and honestly, it was my dad. My dad played all sports when he was younger, but he stuck to baseball, and he did the same with me. I played all sports when I was younger, and I just continued to play baseball throughout high school and now college.
And you had a tremendous career, too. Riverside, California, JW North High School 4-year letter winner. You pitched, you played third, you played shortstop, you played first. You were most valuable player your junior and senior year. I mean, so was that, kind of go back to your high school days and talk a little bit about, was that a school that had a lot of talented athletes?
It did. My freshman and sophomore year, we actually had like 6, 7 D1 commits. So I learned a lot from those older guys, and now like a few of them are on to pro ball. So I really got to learn from them and just been able to apply that to myself throughout high school.
So some defining moments in your high school career. You played baseball. Did you partake in some other sports too?
No, I didn't. I just played baseball. I didn't want to get hurt. My dad knew I had potential, so he didn't want me playing other sports to risk.
But you probably had a gift. You could have played other sports.
Yeah, I definitely could have, but my dad said he didn't want to risk it, so I just stuck to baseball.
So, but you had a lot of success. Anything that was defining in your high school career?
Well, actually, my junior year of high school, it was like a team thing. We were down 8-0 in like the last inning. We came back and won 10-8 in like the second round of playoffs. So that was like a really cool memory I have of high school. And
so here comes the recruiting letters,
yeah.
Seeing all your potential. And you ended up going to Arizona, being a Wildcat, but you must have had other opportunities also.
Yeah, well, I committed really early after freshman year high school, so like my options weren't all that, like I didn't have very much options. But Arizona, like it really drove me into there, especially since the coach, he had been at Nevada, Reno previously, and he called me from there. And I was like, oh, I'm not like really interested in going to Nevada. But then he called me at Arizona. So that really like showed me that he wanted like to coach me.
And so right away you knew that was where you belonged, huh?
Exactly.
And JT, the campus, UCLA Bruins, I mean a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, because of the notoriety of that whole entire campus with, now you have Chip Kelly as your football coach and of course John Wooden and so on down the line, but that campus, there must be a lot of celebrities that hang around that campus from time to time.
Yeah, actually, I think Tom Brady was just throwing some footballs there the other day. Yeah, there's pro basketball players, there are multiple MLB players that were at the field and stuff. It's pretty crazy just kind of being in that environment where it's still not normal, but kind of not unfamiliar to be seeing a lot of high-profile people around campus and stuff. And just being in LA, obviously, there's a lot of celebrities and stuff, so it's kind of cool just to kind of be surrounded by that a little bit and kind of experience it.
Well, the life of a Division I UCLA Bruin baseball player, you were redshirted. I looked at the season. You won like 52 games. You were, I think you were 24-5 in the conference. You ended up in the postseason getting beat by Michigan, and Michigan lost to Vanderbilt, I believe, in the national championship game. So the transition from high school to college, for our viewers, what's life like for a Division I baseball player at UCLA?
It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. It's kind of what you expect going in, but it's also a lot of new stuff that you can't really anticipate and plan for. It's just academics and school and food and trying to balance out everything and spend your time wisely and just kind of get the best of everything and enjoy the atmosphere and stuff. It's, you know, it can be hectic at times, but it's for sure a lot of fun.
Well, what's the biggest transition, the hurdle that you had to overcome from high school to UCLA?
I think time management with school and sports. You know, high school is a little bit different where, you know, you have a little bit more time kind of in between practice and school and stuff. You're not as long hours and stuff, whereas classes, you know, in college are a little bit more serious, and practices run longer with weights and all that. So I think kind of just spending your time and, you know, especially in free time, getting schoolwork done and stuff is really important.
Mm-hmm. And so academics, a big part of your challenges. I mean, you're on track to graduate a few years from now. And what's your class schedule like?
Normally I'll have 2 or 3 classes per day, normally in the morning, with some weights, lifting time in between that. Normally some time to grab lunch, practice in the afternoon, and then normally some sort of study hall or tutoring later in the evening after practice, and then by then it's a late dinner and go to bed.
Talk about the decision to redshirt.
Yeah, I actually missed the whole winter, coming back from Christmas break up until season, and kind of was trying to work back and find a spot in the lineup, and just kind of cards kind of fell into place to where it just kind of the best decision for me and for the team was to redshirt and save a year of eligibility.
And Tony, in Tucson, as a Wildcat, you looked into your stats. You were 32 and 24 overall. Played a lot of games, of course. You batted .301. You played in 36 games, and you had a lot of success. Was the transition hard for you from Riverside to Arizona and Tucson?
It definitely was. It helped that I was close to home, close enough to where like my parents could come out just in case like I ever missed them. But it was definitely a grind. I mean, but it was also a lot of fun. Like JT said, time management was definitely tough. Managing all the school, like online classes, weights, practice. It's very like tough, but it's very fun.
So for our young people watching too, a Division I athlete, you're basically involved, you know, essentially all year long, except in the summer, of course, when you're playing at this level. But when school begins in the fall, you're back into it. You submerge yourself into it the entire school year before the season starts.
Exactly. Yeah, we start I think we start right away. We don't start practices right away, but we do like individual work with like the coaches, and they like assign players to different groups to get their work in.
Good. So was it your academics? Was that a challenge going from high school to college?
I'd have to say so, just because the classes are much harder. Like I didn't think they were going to be much harder, but they actually were. Like I took new classes like astronomy. I thought it was going to be really fun, and I was going to be able to focus, but I really wasn't.
Astronomy?
It was really tough.
What'd you take a hard class like that for your freshman year?
I thought I'd enjoy it and like pay attention, but like it was just so much information coming at me, I couldn't do it.
Well, didn't they understand you were an athlete?
Yeah, that's what I told them.
Okay, we're going to step aside just for a minute as we introduce you to some sponsors, and we'll come right back with the second half right after this.
With our busy lives, it's a comfort to know that we can still remember loved ones in a traditional way with a monument. Lewiston Monuments in Lewiston, Minnesota has been helping families purchase a monument for over 4 generations. You'll find a large selection of beautiful granite, marble, and bronze monuments, all at competitive prices. And they're a full-service company, so they also do straightening, cleaning, and repair of monuments. Stop in or call for a no-obligation consultation, or visit lewistonmonument.com for more information.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, your comfort is our business.
Welcome back to 7 River Sports. Special show today, as we always profile the loggers of this season. JT Schwartz, Tony Bullard here as my guests. A life of a logger. Now, I know Dan Kapanke real well, Chris Goodell, and I know the expectations are high. You have a meeting when you arrive, and they're basically sharing information on the expectations of being a lacrosse logger. What are those, JT?
I think the biggest thing that stood out to us was probably just acting like a professional. You see a lot of college kids around here, especially in this league during summer when there's not, their normal college coach and stuff around that can kind of get away from being disciplined and stuff and their habits, on and off the field. That's one of the biggest things they stress to us, is just kind of be disciplined and be a professional, because, a lot of people can kind of fall away from that, especially in the summer.
A typical day for a logger. Away game, home game. What is that, JT?
Home games, normally we get to sleep in a little bit. We can go work out at the gym, get a light little lift in, and then we'll have some early work, go hit a little bit at the field. Then we'll have an hour or two to grab some lunch, head back to the field for batting practice, and then it's game time. Road games are a little different. We've actually left right after a home game to go to Canada on 8 9 hour bus ride before. Most of the time we'll leave the next morning, the day of the away game, and bus in the morning. Those can be kind of early mornings, so just trying to get some sleep on the bus, and it can be kind of crazy. But
bus rides now, as a Bruin and as a Wildcat, you don't go on buses. You fly everywhere, Tony. So buses, is that a little hard transition for you?
It's a little tough, but I sit with all my friends, like JT and a few other guys from Arizona, and we usually play cards or watch a movie together, or just do some activity on the bus to pass the time by. And
look out the window and see the Midwest for the first time, and think, oh, I wish I was at the beach.
Exactly.
But of course, you make appearances too. JT talked about the level of expectation, the conduct, and so on. You make appearances because as a Division I athlete, you're sort of on a platform, but as a logger, you're on a similar platform. So talk about what's expected in terms of appearances.
For example, every bus ride, every road game, we have to wear a polo to show, and no other teams do that. We have to have clean shaved. For every road game. I know we aren't clean shaved right now, but we have to do that.
I think he thought this was radio.
But those are two examples of how to be a professional and just how the loggers do it.
But in terms of practice and daily routine, is it a lot different than as a Wildcat?
It's about the same. The only difference I'd say is the amount of games we play here. It's every day, and obviously they're spaced out in college, but early work's the same, lifting is kind of the same, even though here it's on your own. I try to lift as much as I possibly can.
JT, as a first baseman, I think a first baseman, probably the most famous first baseman in the history of baseball is Lou Gehrig, way before your time and before my time. And then I think of Albert Pujols, one of my favorite, and then maybe the best first baseman that plays Major League Baseball today, Paul Goldschmidt from St. Louis. What are the things that you look for when you watch Major League first baseman that you can use in your game?
I think, trying to stay athletic. I was a shortstop in high school and kind of just transitioned into playing more of the corners, and especially first base last year or so. And I think some people can fall into the trap of just being stationary and trying to just, catch balls or stand on the bag or whatever. So I think just, trying to make sure I'm trying to make plays and stuff like that while, kind of still being over in that corner is important.
How much do you study pitcher, batters, and maybe what they did the previous time up, and looking at what they've done in previous games in terms of your positioning and the kind of pitch that is thrown to that particular batter when you're on defense?
Yeah, that can be huge, especially with especially in a league like this where there's no scouting reports and stuff, and it's all kind of visual based on, experience and playing against other guys, speed and whether or not they're going to bunt, and positioning, whether or not they're early or late on fastballs, breaking ball counts, stuff like that. It can be really important in terms of just, being able to get to the bag or being more ready for, balls hit at you or whatnot. That can be really important.
And Tony, as an accomplished infielder, when I think of third baseman, maybe the best third baseman that ever played was Mike Schmidt. Before your time, again, I think of Eddie Matthews, who I watched play for the Milwaukee Braves before they became the Brewers. I think of Brooks Robinson before your time again, and maybe the best third baseman that plays currently, Jose Ramirez of the Cleveland Indians. But do you have a role model that you look for to try to gather some skills?
Yeah, Colorado Rockies third baseman Nolan Arenado. He's currently like one of the better fielding third baseman in the major leagues right now, so that's who I role model.
And what about skills that you bring to the game and maybe some things you need to work on to improve your game?
I definitely need to work on my forehand. I tend to like not stay low and just come up. I need to work on like staying low on it and seeing the ball in order to have my feet directed at first base in order to throw it. But I think my backhand has progressed a lot. I've been making a lot of backhand plays lately that have been maybe difficult for other people, but I've been able to make them. So.
How do you read batters?
Usually on speed. Like if they're fast, I'll play like in, and if they're not so fast, I'll play back, so I know I have more time.
Do you remember exactly what a batter did the previous time up before he comes up the second or third time?
Yeah, I do, and that helps with positioning, like JT said, in order like to know if I should play in or like move to the left a few steps or right a few steps or even back.
You know, a lot of people are just intrigued by the mechanics of hitting, the perfect swing, and it's progressed over the last few years where it's bat speed, it's launch angle, it's velocity leaving the bat. I mean, it's intriguing to see the sophistication now versus when I played and coached. When you look at the perfect swing, you look at a violent hitter. You look at somebody with controlled violence. You look at Mike Trout, Christian Yelich. You look at Yelich. You look at Cody Bellinger, who's one of my favorite. When you look at your hitting style, JT, explain that to our viewers.
I think approach has a lot more to do with hitting than a lot of people realize. You know, like you said, a lot of what's talked about now is all these different metrics and launch angle and exit velocity and stuff like that, whereas, you know, that's some stuff you can't necessarily control in game, and a lot more goes into it.
Is it too much where it just fills your head and you just get somewhat confused rather than just go up there and be natural?
It can be, you know, especially in game. You don't really want to be thinking too much while you're up in the box. You know, it's already kind of a lot to take in, so kind of simplifying things as much as you can is definitely important. I think that's what, you know, a lot of people should be trying to do instead of overthinking things.
When I watch young people hitting, I have two grandsons that are pretty good players, and when I watch them and younger, I notice that a lot of them will take pitches that they should be aggressively looking at early in the pitch count. And they're looking for that perfect pitch when good hitters don't always find that sweet spot with a perfect pitch. They hit sometimes out of the strike zone, and they're successful.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I think kind of taking what the pitcher gives you is crucial. You know, if you're facing a guy that can locate with some good stuff and whatnot, like, you know, they're not always going to be leaving balls over the middle of the plate. And so
good pitchers don't.
Exactly. So you kind of have to adapt and be able to hit different pitches and, you know, still find a way to get a good swing off on, you know, a good pitch.
Do you have a favorite batter when you watch in the big leagues that you try to emulate?
I really like you said, Cody Bellinger is one of like the better hitters in the major league right now, so I try to like emulate him, but not too much to like get out of my comfort zone, if that makes any sense.
And what about when you think about when coaches are talking about exit speed and launch angles and all those kinds of things? How do you react to that?
I try not to like worry about that too much. I just try it, like JT said, to me it's all about like approach and sticking to your approach, like keeping it as like not thinking as much as you possibly can, because once you start thinking, you're gonna be thinking too much, and like stay out of your approach. So I really just try to stick to my approach no matter what.
Do you look at being a good spray hitter? Do you look at, like, if a ball's outside, you're going to take it to the opposite field? Do you look at pitchers and what kind of what their tendencies are?
Yeah, definitely. Like if the pitcher's throwing outside, I might like move up on the box a little bit so I can drive the ball the other way. But if he's throwing inside, I might like move back in the box a little bit just so I can pull it, just stuff like that. Yeah.
I imagine, particularly at Arizona and at UCLA, there's sophisticated charts on every pitcher that you're about to face, and there's some predictability there.
Yeah, we have Arizona. I know we have like video that we look at before every game to see what the pitcher is throwing in certain counts, like his mechanics, what we should look for, like just a whole bunch of video that we look at.
And I'm sure at UCLA, it's the same approach.
Yeah, lots of data and video that we have access to, but still, you know, it kind of comes down to, regardless of the pitcher, almost being stubborn in what you're doing, because, you know, scouting reports aren't always spot on.
So, middle of August, back to the UCLA campus, school starting in the fall. What's ahead then for JT Schwartz? You're looking at certainly 3 or 4 more years, maybe getting into the big leagues at some point?
Yeah, you know, that's always the goal and the dream for, you know, us college kids playing baseball right now, and not really trying to look ahead though. You know, obviously just taking things one step at a time and trying to, you know, get through the summer first, and then when the fall comes, deal with that.
But you probably have the skills to someday be a professional player.
I would like to think so.
Your friend Tony says that.
Yeah, I think Tony thinks so.
And I assume you have the same dream.
Yeah, that's the goal ever since I was little, to become a major league player. So just taking it, like JT said, one step at a time.
What do you have to do to get there?
Work hard, get good grades, and just continue doing what I'm destined to do.
Don't take any more astronomy classes.
Yeah, that too.
No, but someday we'll read about both you guys being in the big leagues?
I mean, that's the goal. I really hope so.
So you're on track to get right there? I'm sure as a Division I athlete, you're certainly pointed in that direction.
Yeah, as a D1 athlete, you definitely get more looks and more attention since you're like at the top, even though like D2, D3, and IA schools are good too, but
sure.
D1, like I feel like they get the most looks.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Again, our guest today, JT Schwartz from the Loggers, UCLA Bruins, and Tony Bullard from the Arizona Wildcats, a Logger, and it's been exciting to have you, and we'll be watching you play the rest of the season and hope that we'll see you back in the Midwest again next year. So thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
We'll be back with some closing thoughts right after this.
At Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, we have assembled a championship team
Who listens to what your needs are.
We install carrier comfort systems that improve the comfort, efficiency, and the air quality of your home and workplace.
We serve you with highly trained technicians who are prompt, friendly, and honest.
For Gold Star treatment, turn to the experts, Carrier and Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning.
Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning. Your comfort is our business.
When you're faced with the decision of selecting a monument to honor someone dear to you, call Lewiston Monuments for a no-obligation consultation. Lewiston Monument is a full-service monument company, serving families in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin for over 4 generations. You'll find beautiful granite, marble, and bronze memorials, all at competitive prices. Their experts can help you design the perfect and unique memorial. Lewiston Monument. Call today or on the web at lewistonmonument.com.
Hope you enjoyed our interview this week with Tony Bullard and JT Schwartz from the Crosse Loggers. A menu of numerous activities to take advantage of in the Cooley region as we head into the month of August. Biking, hiking, road races, water sports, and of course music in the park. Take advantage of the great weather and get involved in some outdoor activities. Several high school football athletes participated in the All-Star Games held recently in Oshkosh. They include David Hayden and Alec Morris from La Crosse Central, Bryce Edwards from Sparta, Tatum Grass from Holman, Aquinas Blue Gold star Bryce Lee, Westby standout, and now a UWL Eagle, Ryan Daines, MacArthur Hebner from Arcadia, Gage Jaszewski from GET, and finally from Melrose Mindoro, Hunter Kastenschmidt and Landon Lockington. Congratulations to these football high school all-stars. Check your local listing as we continue to bring you nights of Thunder Racing every Thursday and every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Thanks for joining us here this week on Seven Rivers Sports. Next week, our guest will be Scott Gartner from Island Outdoors here on Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping that you will have an active and a healthy week ahead.